But I'm going to go ahead and ask Miss Dina Klotz to come forward as I introduce her. And Miss Dina Klotz has been a mentor for us, I guess, 2 to 3 years now. And she has an amazing story. It's an amazing story of being strong, finishing strong. And it's her own life story that she's going to share with us right now. She also owns the mobile dog grooming thing you've seen around. I know, it's awesome. And so she's talented. She's got a lot of things going on. So everybody give a warm welcome to Ms. Dina Klotz.
I want to thank my husband and my son for coming here today. They're here for my support. And so thank you, husband and son. My story is just a small chapter of an experience in my life. And around 2008, 2009, I went through a severe depression. And it was because of a chemical imbalance. It was life events that I hadn't addressed that had occurred early in my teen years, early 20 years. And it just kind of all came to a head around, a few years ago. And the kind of depression that I experienced was extremely severe. It resulted in deep hurt, unimaginable sadness, isolation, prolonged self-pity, hopelessness, suicidal thoughts and attempts, panic attacks, loneliness, distrust of anyone. I didn't like the way that my dogs looked at me. They were wrong. Darkness, humiliation, and just feeling like a failure overall. The way I try and describe that kind of depression, it's very difficult for anybody to understand what that feels like or what that's like unless you've been there. And one way I try and describe that level of depression is, I say, here's heaven, here's earth, here's hell, and here's that depression. And it's extremely difficult to describe, but once you're down there that low, it feels like you're in a dark hole. There is no light, and you can reach up as much as you can, and there is no one there to grab you. That's what it feels like. That's the only way I could describe that. When I reached that level, I knew that I needed to get help. So that experience, if you asked me, if you asked my husband, and if you asked my son, who was 13 years old at the time, each one of us experienced that depression that I went through. So it just not only impacted me, it impacted my immediate family members who were living with me, my family members who weren't living with me, and those who cared about me. So it affects a lot of people. I went to Baylor. I was there on what they call their lockdown floor, or their 8th floor. And it is exactly what it sounds like. It's a lockdown floor. It's their security. You're locked in once you're on that floor. I was there for about a week, and I was scared at first, but after a day or so, even though I was still trying to deal with the emotions and talking with the therapists who were there 24 hours, I felt safe there, and I felt like I was understood. In fact, I think a lot of people who have not been there and experienced that label people who go on that 8th floor as crazy people. But we always made a joke, those of us who were in there, and saying we weren't the crazy ones. Everybody outside was, because we were the ones there getting help. As I said, it was the 8th floor. They had a daily structure. They had crafts. They had therapy dogs. They had educational classes, and it was just a safe place for people who was experiencing that kind of depression to get help. No matter what it is that brought us there, we all had different situations that brought us there, but we were ultimately all there for the same reason, and that was because we wanted to end our lives. And but we were there to get help, and that's what we did. We got help. And One of the biggest things that helped me through that was one of the classes that they had offered was, and you didn't have a choice to go, you had to go, but education was a huge factor in that step forward to getting healthy and to recovery. And you learn about depression, you learn about what it does to your body, what it does to your brain, how it affects, how the medications affect your ability to function, if you don't take the medication, and just different aspects like that. So it's all about education. It's very powerful. And I think their idea of all those different activities that they provided, like I mentioned before, like the crafts and pet therapy and things like that, is to get your brain active. It's to get your physical aspect about you active and in good health. And I think that relates to real life. And when we keep our brains active and we go and work out and we eat right and at least attempt to, it just makes your overall everyday living a lot better, and you can deal with situations that you're faced with. Because when I came out of Baylor, the same situations were there, but I just looked at them in a different way. One of my reasons, I think one of the reasons why Miss Petty asked me to share this testimony with you guys is to let you know I'm living proof that there is hope. And if you are at a level of depression like I described, maybe you're not even experiencing depression, and that's fine, but we all need resources and we all need to feel like we're understood. And I think a movement toward a future really provides that. And Miss Petty, she's just an amazing person that is a resource that all the students should take advantage of all the information that she has. She's just flooded with information and resources and guidance and hope, and she just has her hands in so many things that if you have a question or if you need guidance or need help, Miss Petty's here to help, and all of us together, I think that just gives everybody hope. When I was going through that depression time, one of the things, several things helped me, my faith in Jesus Christ. Ultimately, that's why I'm standing here today. But the other thing that helped me was I wrote poems. I still write poems, but let me tell you, when I was going through that year of depression, I have binders and poems. I have them in a bag over there on the table. I am not kidding you. I've got literally poems that I wrote this many on 8.5 by 11 pages of paper. I have this many, and sometimes I would put out poems like 5 or 6 in one day. And now I'll go back every once in a while and look at them, and I'll think, I wrote that? That's pretty darn good. So, but that's just basically that was my outlet. That's what helped me kind of get through it, is because I'm writing down all of my emotions and expressions, and I'm just getting it out on paper, and it felt good to be able to do that. Miss Petty asked me to just share one little quick poem that I wrote. It was at the end of this, the depression term when I came out of Baylor. And I'll just end my testimony reading this. It's really short. God created all seasons of life. He is always with you, especially during strife. May the Lord bless you and manifest himself to you. Open your eyes and heart, then you will see the beauty of which you are a part. So thank you for letting me give my testimony.